What's up, fellas?
Are you dialing us up, or are you just?
You just like to put that in your face.
You just
That's
had the
what she
microphone ready.
Is that a microphone? I did notes to myself last time, and it worked out really well.
Great.
Except I used the wireless mics, and it got a lot of audio noise into the podcast, so I'm doing a wired mic, and this is what I have.
Cool, man. Hi, what's up?
It's pretty sick, dude.
Love your sense.
I'm going to look at my notes.
But do you have a thing, or are you just pulling that up? Are you prompting us?
He's just being ready?
I'm just being ready.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Great.
I have no prompts.
No prompts. Well, gosh, guys.
Which leads to the best question ever. What do you guys want to talk about?
Oh, man. What do we want to talk
Chuck has
about?
something on his mind. I can tell. I can tell it, dude.
Well, what I was thinking about earlier, have we ever talked about kind of like the EOS business stuff on this? And like what that, because I feel like what we were talking about this morning at the three of our meeting, like at the meeting with the three of us, had some like EOS roots in it. And so then I was wondering if that would be interesting for other people.
Interessante.
Did we talk about
like,
EOS?
I feel like we've talked about
Weiser?
EOS a few times, but maybe not specifically as an episode.
You called it out once before. You like in the mailbag episode, you said, "Oh, Yo style," and I think we had that one episode we were going to record, and then it didn't record. So we talked about it for a full episode, but it never saw the light of day.
That's good.
So no, we haven't really talked about it.
I talked with Nick about it, but we never put that one out either, right?
Not yet.
Yeah, okay.
Not yet. Who's Nick?
Great. Nick
Beeline.
who owns Beeline.
Across the way. You talked to him on the internet?
Nick, well, no,
Recorded it, I mean?
We had so let everybody else know. My friend Nick runs a little motorsports speed shop right around the corner from us. We actually have our office in there where we have our meetings.
Yeah.
It's a great kitchen.
And he's been working with cars forever, and he's been growing his business. So it's one part car club, one part speed shop, and then he does a bunch of community engagement events and rallies and stuff. It like helps out with support on those. And he's really interested in the cultural thing.
Yeah.
So for a while, it got kind of shaken up because we had a bunch of vacations. But he's like, dude, we gotta have a weekly. Like, let's meet every week, every Tuesday.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, maybe every other Tuesday.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way.
There's
no way you're just taking a
so
every
busy.
week meeting. Yeah.
And he's just super interested in the cultural component and how to integrate that into the car world, specifically the automotive repair shop world. So we were having a conversation yesterday of like, what do I do, or what are your thoughts on? It's kind of like specifically the experience that everybody gets when they go to whatever garage. Because usually you go, well, most garages are terrible, right? Most garages are just, there's a difference between what he's doing and where a place where you would go where it's like, my car's broke and I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
like I need a brake job or I need an oil change. And he's dealing with people who really are in love with their cars and are taking their cars on driving events or collectors, and they have different demands. The service level's higher.
Like plastic surgery for cars?
It's like third wave specialty coffee shop, but with cars.
Okay.
Right? It's like what we do. So for him, he doesn't really have any systems on what happens when someone shows up at the shop. Because he's just like, people are just showing up at the shop. And
right.
He doesn't have anything
Is
to
that
run
like
them
a concierge?
through. No. Yeah. So he doesn't have any of that stuff. So he wants to build in this experience to where it's like, cool, when you go to the shop, what happens?
Yeah.
And so we're just talking about it. I was like, well, when you go to the shop, it's impressive because you see all these cars, but as a guest going to the shop, there's really nowhere for you to land.
But that would be
Yeah,
the
you don't know
first
where to
thing,
go.
right? Is to like see it through the eyes of the
Right.
guest, right?
Yeah.
That would be like the place to start.
So he's curious because he's like, this is what you guys do. And it's a different industry, but all of the same kind of things apply.
Yeah, and it's the same mindset. You could apply it to any business of just like, hey, let's just see it through the eyes of a guest, and what an amazing guest experience for whatever your industry looks like.
So the first thing that we talked about was like, so what happens when someone walks up? It's like, you got people working in the shop. Like, does everybody reach out? Does everybody
say hi?
Does everybody look over and say hi, even if it's quote unquote not their job? It's like, sure, someone might be buried, deep in an engine or dropping something out, but you can always just look over, see someone out of the corner of your eye, and just say, hey, what's up? We'll be right with you. Go in and have a seat on this thing.
Yeah, tell him
you
where to
know?
go.
Like,
Yeah.
go right over here. Like, we'll be with you in a second. Grab a cup of coffee and a water. And he's like, yeah, we don't really have a space. I'm like, yeah, well, that's the,
Start there.
that's the next thing. Because
Right.
they kind of have a couch that doubles as their office, and it's not really clear. Is it an employee space?
Right. You have the table
or
with the microphones.
is it a guest space? Yeah.
So that's
and
a
they do
different
most of their
spot
stuff in,
over in the other
in the
place.
middle unit,
Yeah.
which is even
Small is
well, there's more service area. So the people space is tinier.
yeah.
But it just doesn't look like a place. I'm like, really? Everything's about at first, it's about making people feel safe, making people feel comfortable, making them feel like they belong and they're welcome in the space,
Sure.
like having a place for them to go. And then you can kind of talk about the amenities that you want to provide or like,
Yeah.
so there's
What's
one,
the time spent look like?
yeah. And there's one part that's like, I could see it being really analogous to something like a barber shop. Because it's not like here where you go in and you have a relatively quick turn where someone's on their way to work, where it's like, oh, cool.
No, you have to like leave your car, don't
coffee. Yeah, you're leaving your car, or you're going to talk to them about like the bigger plans for the car, right? It's not like I just need brakes. It's like, okay, cool. Here's a list of 10 things I want to do with the car, but I also need you to check out the car and like do all. So you're probably there for at least a half hour. So it's kind of like that. Oh, I'm chilling at the barbershop waiting, and maybe they have coffee, or maybe they have this, or maybe they have all these things.
Yeah, you have a lot.
That'd be the opportunity would be to curate a space and an experience to
Right.
have those conversations.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, let me take you to Cat and Clown.
Is it already clear like what they specialize in?
I will meet
Anywhere?
you at
Like if
Cat
you were
and
to just
Clown.
like, you know what I'm saying?
Most of their business. So the thing is that he's got more business than he's got more than enough business. So he doesn't have
problem.
like a customer problem because
Yeah.
the community is relatively small. So it's mostly a referral base.
Got it.
Yeah.
So he's got work coming in the door. That's not an issue. He just wants to blow people's minds.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we were kind of having that conversation. I was like, well, I can't tell you exactly what to do, but like all those fundamentals are kind of are shared.
Yeah.
I was like, what happens when people go in, aside from having the place to sit and having that reach out, everyone's super friendly. I was like, if someone accidentally ends up in the roastery, we have, there's like a 5-minute roastery tour
Yeah,
that everyone, everyone can get no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody
And-
enjoys.
Yeah, it's super fun, simple run through. What's your version of that?
Did you have some ideas?
Yeah, I mean, he's it's kind of like what Dante was saying in the morning. You're
Yeah.
kind of having someone tell you something that you already know.
Yeah. Well,
But-
sure. There's that part, but there's also like, but there isn't too, because there's the creativity side of it of like, what is it and what could it look like? You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
like, I hear you there. Because the thing what Dante was talking about is like, yeah, like you do want to, whatever, meet them, greet them, make them feel this way. But it's like, what are your things? That's why
Yeah.
the creativity's fun.
And you need
Right.
and you'd have to have the space.
Well, and
Like,
you have
the
to have your
space would
soul and
be
your expression.
Well, so I
True.
Really important if that's what you want to create, right?
right, and he was just bouncing this off me, and I was like, well, here's what I would love, and I'm not as deep in the game as some of those other people,
Well, you're a
but
guest.
for
You go to
me,
car places.
coming into the shop, I was like, this is what I would do if it was mine. Like in that little area where the couches and stuff are, is like, get rid of all that. And I thought of James Coffee in San Diego, how all of their locations are kind of built modular.
Yeah,
Like they're all, the bars, they look like they're made
they are
and
literally.
set into the,
They are totally all movable.
but they're all on casters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It looks permanent, but it's not.
Yeah.
So I was like, take that area. I would like block that out, and it'd be cool to have a little micro cafe where there's, food and beverage options, like some sort of high end coffee. You don't really need alcohol because you're dealing with automobiles.
Yeah,
I think of like the
probably
barbershop
shouldn't.
in LA,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
And I was like, it'd also be cool if you had a place to have a conversation with a customer, but then also on the higher bar, because he wants it to be a social aspect of it. It would be so cool if the middle bay was kind of like all the high end builds, and you could come in and get coffee, chill for 15 minutes, and kind of sit at the high top bar like you would do in the cafe.
Watch.
But instead of chatting
Yeah.
with the barista, you're kind of looking out at the shop show floor.
Yeah,
That'd be
And
smart.
you're
super
just
cool.
having coffee and a little snack, and you're talking to the other person who's getting their car worked on, because there's someone there all the time.
Yeah.
And then, so there's that intake experience. And then obviously following up on the work, like the work is you have to do good work. Like the work's not really a differentiating factor. Some people don't, but like you kind of have to.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what are the takeaways after the fact too? So it's like every weirdo that I know, it's you have your car, and then every little thing you do to your car, you have you have your receipt for it and you save it. So every asshole like me has like a manila folder this thick full of
Show me the
every
Carfax.
single thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, this was my brake job 10 years ago. This
Yeah.
is this.
But is there a cooler
Mine's not
way?
organized,
And
but
I
I
was
got
like,
it.
yeah, what does it look like to have, for the high-end clients, like your upholstery guy do some sort of really awesome beeline binder and you kind of do their fresh start. What does a rally kit look like? And, these people are driving their cars. Like, what are some takeaways that are only available to people who get their work done by you that feel really relevant to the culture that you're participating in, but also are just like, you're just like, oh, this is so above and beyond. Like, I never would have thought of this.
Showcase the brand. As
Yeah,
well.
exactly. Because I was kind of
Like
like,
Beeline motor gloves, dude, for driving. That's no.
well, at the end of the day, it's like really what you're trying to do is with any brand is kind of creating this tension to where it's like the ultimate goal is your guests are so completely satisfied and blown away and face melted that when you go to whatever car meet you go to, it's like, oh, like you have a Porsche and you don't take it to Beeline? That's like super weird, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, you gotta go, dude.
It's like, oh, you like specialty coffee, but you go to this weird place. It's like, why aren't you going to Cat and Cloud? Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, that's like,
You
that's
start
what's
listing
happening in those
no.
communities,
Yeah. And this is our moment to start calling people out.
I'm all, you go to
Mom.
you got to. It's just cool to see. It's just cool to have conversations about the things that we do every day and tie them to these different spaces.
Yeah, because he would want to like
That's very
evoke
fun.
feeling. Like, what is the feeling when someone's leaving Beeline? Right? What is like that feeling that they've like evoked in them that they're like carrying
I'd be
with
fascinated
them? Yeah.
to hear that too. Just to hear what people think themselves and what they get into vision wise.
Right. Because the biggest marker that I always think about is like, are you doing something that is going to make someone else want to go tell a friend?
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you're not going hard enough. You're not creating like a amazing enough experience in whatever way.
Yeah.
Because it's not remarkable.
What do you think it's like for people? I think there's a lot of business owners who maybe don't have the same passion for this as we do, but want it. Like what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to make more money doing it, but you don't necessarily know how. And
Only
you don't.
if it's authentic, right?
Well,
People,
but that's
if it's
the whole
not
point, though. That's why
authentic-
people look at all these places that. Well, like, that's actually the second point is like, what do you see them get excited by, and that's maybe how you teach them to lean into it. But that's what I wonder is, people get into this and they're like, okay, well, if we make this really cool experience, we're going to make money, which is actually not necessarily true because of that point. If it's not authentic and not connective, you don't usually sustain it. But I'm thinking about people who really are interested, but not necessarily the creative type in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a little bit of empathy for them, and I wonder what that would be like.
I mean, yeah. I feel like everybody has the capacity to be creative.
Sure, but it's like, if you're not passionate about what that creativity looks like in your space, it's really, really challenging. You like that might be why, not why he's talking to you. That's the wrong way of putting it, but why people end up talking to other people about how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might get into a place and be like maybe you as an individual made exactly what you love and that's enough for you, but you know that you're missing something for everybody else. Like, you're actually really stoked on the experience and it's good, but you're like, I'm leaving stuff on the table because like, whatever. I'm not a director, in the movie. Like, that's just not who I am. I'm not a creative director. So I don't have all this pizzazz to go with it, but I know I could use some of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's doing that. He's doing that with you, but it made me think about that because I know there's people out there who are like, I want that so bad, but I don't know what to do. Like, do we have advice for them?
I don't know. That's an interesting way to think about it. Because I feel like if someone wants it that bad, they're either going to do it or they don't actually want it that bad.
Right, they would do what Nick is doing.
They would
right?
do what Nick is doing,
Reach out
step
to
one.
someone.
And it's like he's
Yeah.
obviously got his own ideas.
Yeah.
He just sees
No,
us
they're
as
clearly
experts
creative
in this
already. Yeah, I've
experience
been in there.
field,
Yeah,
right?
for
So
sure.
it's
And
like,
he's got vision for other stuff he's talked about.
yeah, because if you're a business owner, you've already got a little higher threshold for risk and
Sure.
a little bit. You got something that you're not scared to share, or at least you're able to push through your fear and share it with other people.
Yeah.
And then like the weird thing about now is like there's no barrier to knowledge. Like anybody can find out anything. If you want like 13,000 creative ideas, you could find them. I think it's just like,
I guess what I'm
are you
thinking
going to
about
do
though,
it or not? You know?
Yeah. I mean, and do
Right,
in
make it a priority because
connecting
you
with
only have so
somebody.
much time. Yeah.
Sure, but I mean, picture the person who's like obsessed with systems and process, but they're and they create a business that's like, and they understand business, but they're obsessed with systems and process. But that doesn't necessarily provide the feelings that we talk about. You know, like we're kind of a awesome trifecta and more with our team in terms of our ability and interest in all of these things, right? We have an interest in process, we have interest in quality and artistry and hospitality and all these different layers. What if you're that single business owner who is obsessed with whatever, clean, precise, boom, and like, but you don't feel that call to be as creative and colorful and like engaging with the guest? You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of what I'm thinking about, because I know they're out there and there is success for those people. I've been to places where I go and it's like, for me, I'm not terribly inspired by them, but I'm like, yeah, this is really good. It's also like a very plain experience in terms of what I like, but really precise and delicious or interesting.
What's an example of that? Just some, it'll help me put
I
out,
wouldn't
like,
want
a
to name
vision in my
names
head.
of places.
Let's just talk
but
shit
like,
about everybody.
But what would you go like In-N-Out Burger? Right, like they've like got
In-N-Out
the you know
Burger
you see the
could,
line
but
of like,
they
or like
are known a little bit for
McDonald's,
hospitality.
or
I guess
like,
we could go in that direction.
you can go, and that's I think of like food, the process.
Sure.
Right, those are the people that are like systems and process oriented.
Sure, I guess in that capacity, you could go with a McDonald's that is like stripped down and like, but is successful and like the person's making money, but they're like, I could do more with this, but I don't know.
Or like someone who used to work at McDonald's who starts a restaurant.
And they just copy McDonald's in a white building.
Well, no, they just right. It's like they have with an arrow logo. No.
Exactly.
No, it's like we've.
Are you talking
No.
about Andres, the awesome pop-up coming in a couple weeks at our cafe? That's not the same thing.
No,
at
I'm
all.
talking about like in the marketplace,
Sure.
like at Abbott Square.
Yep.
You know, it's like I know there's like business there run by somebody that used to work at McDonald's.
Okay.
And right, it's like he's got all the systems and processes and things, but
I mean, it's a challenging topic.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe. I think people choose the kind of businesses they want to have. And
fair.
if they're really focused on systems and process and that's what they're good at, but they know that they're missing something, they're
Right.
going to
They need to
find,
get help, right?
if
I
their
guess.
ego's not out of control and they're willing to learn, they're going to find someone who can bring that to the table for them.
Right. So it's totally, you got to hire, you got to do some internal.
yeah, it's
Soul
like
searching,
understanding.
research,
It's
and
like being self-aware of like
find
what
some
your
inspiration.
strengths and weaknesses are, and then try to understand what a complete picture looks like, and then bring other people alongside you that complement you.
Yeah.
Right. That would be the only. That's kind of the.
That sounds like the way. I'm thinking out loud. I pictured people who struggle with that and wonder, yeah, I think that's what you'd have to do. You have to go reading, watching, looking, asking questions.
Yeah.
Maybe finding places that you would go to that make you feel a way that your cafe doesn't yet, and maybe try to find a way to apply those things. You know, if you go somewhere that makes you happy, what do they do there? How do they
Right.
make you feel? Maybe this is a good place to copy in that way, right? Like, were you copying or whatever? What is the word? It's not copying. The other thing. It's a form of flattery.
imitation.
Imitating. There's the word. Yeah, I was like that. Yeah, you can like look for your version of something and imitate a little bit. I think that's a wise thing to do, actually, in a lot
Yeah.
of businesses.
I mean, we all do that.
For sure.
There's rarely anything I don't think there's anything
Truly.
that's just
Except for the
Yeah.
one and one, dude.
Original.
100%.
This is the only one ever. Nobody's ever made a single macchiato or a single cappuccino in their life,
and
or
put
a
them on
single
the
espresso.
same plate.
Nobody's ever done that before. But they haven't given it a name.
Yeah. I just like the whole I'm not creative thing just doesn't really jive with me. I'm like, you are as creative as you want to be. You might not be an artist in the traditional sense,
Sure.
or it's like I don't draw pictures
Yep.
or I don't paint, But if you're going to undertake a project, it's like the onus is kind of on you. Especially, I mean, dude, just like you said, you go walk around in the world. Like anybody can go in somewhere and see examples of things that they like happening. They might not even know why they like it.
Right.
But they can just write it down and be like, oh, I like the way this feels, or I like the way that feels. I like this. And then what is my version of that?
Totally.
Then they
try
it out, pivot. And I think people that struggle with stuff and just, I think inspiration is not a problem. I think access to information is not a problem. I think people sometimes kid themselves about what they actually want to do and what they're actually willing to do.
Yeah, that's probably the realest point.
Because I feel like if someone really wants it, they're getting it.
Right. They'll
You know
chip
what I
away.
mean? They'll just slow and steady. They might not be a millionaire or billionaire, but it's like if you're committed to a project, I think you
have that ambition.
Right. You either make it happen or maybe your idea sucks and you need a new idea, make better things. Like there are bad ideas, you know, like.
I mean, even to Chuck's point earlier, it's like if you look through the guest's eyes, you could even be the person who, if you don't have it yourself, you could go to places that you know are successful and start watching people and watching what they're getting off on and getting excited by, and then find your own version of that within your space and your whatever, your craft, your thing. I mean, that's part of a reason that I got obsessed with Disneyland to begin with, is you see how successful they are. I'm like, I don't want to do everything just like them, but there's something to be said about a place that can do all of this as efficiently. And sure, they have funding and human beings on a level that we'll never be able to have, but there's something you can learn from places and restaurants. And we've talked about that a million times over. But that's probably, you're right. Like another way you got to get into it is just find those places.
Because without even let's say you took away the funding and all that stuff, it's someone like Walt Disney had to have the idea to do that, right? He had to recognize that was deeply important to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As like a part of his DNA that he needed to share with people. And was like, where did he get that from?
Well, and part of it was
wonder?
like he went to amusement parks and had horrible experiences and was like, there's got to be like, can no one create like an amusement park where you like is clean and people
fun
are
for
happy
everyone.
And it's like actually fun, right? It's like that was like where the idea came from.
Yeah, he's with his daughters.
Right. And that's so the people that are running those amusement parks, the other amusement parks are probably, our amusement park's dirty and it's kind of funky, but we're making money. I don't care. Like, I don't have a grand vision. I just want to pay my rent and put some in the pocketbook, right? That's what they're doing. And he's like, no, well, that's good for you, but there's something more
better,
more elevated.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I like an elevation.
Well, that's just where things build because, right, it's like there's always going to be people. There's always going to be people who are happy just where they are. And then there's always going to be people, I believe, that want to pursue better and make things better. And it's it's like just able, like those just kind of continually build on each other. People creating things. And there's some people that are just happy where they are. And then people that'll take those ideas and take them to the next level over and over and over again.
And it's totally okay if you are happy where you are. Just realize your input's going to determine your output in a certain way. You know what I mean? Like there's some people who are just like, I'd have my career. I've had it for 10 years. Don't want to change it.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
And chilling. That's great.
Yeah.
Like, damn, that's awesome.
They get what they want out of work and they have the rest of their life to do other stuff.
They sure do.
Wish I could be that happy.
Well, if you're a business owner, you're either growing or you're dying. So I think that's what they say.
It's like a shark.
Disneyland's crazy, dude.
I know you were just there.
One of the things that I noticed this time is that when you're in a place where everything is so dialed in, when things aren't perfect, you
extra loud.
Really notice.
Yeah. Extra loud.
Yeah. So there's...
Yeah, because they don't bat 1,000 for sure.
No, yeah.
No way.
No, it's
it's really noticeable when they don't, and it's something that you probably wouldn't even notice anywhere else.
Yeah.
That's
like
true.
Everyone's really dialed in. Like I was going on a coffee run, and Jenny was going to get breakfast. We were in the California Grand, so one of the Craftsman Grill. It's like the place you can kind of grab and go in there. I guess Eleanor was just freaking out. Like she was just having a whatever morning.
Yeah.
She was crying. She was hungry. Everyone's busy. And Jenny was like looking at yogurt parfaits and looking at all this stuff. And she's like, fuck, whatever. So just grabbed a quick, like grab and go snack and went out and tried to get her just something to eat. And then the person came out like 5 minutes later and just like, hey, I could tell you weren't sure what you wanted to eat, but you were looking at this parfait. So like, here you go. It's on the house.
Damn.
It's like
Whoa,
awesome.
dude.
Killer. Yeah.
Power to please.
Yeah. Power to please.
That's like next. That's the awesomest levels.
10 out of
dude.
10. So that's incredible.
Yeah.
And then you
Juxtapose.
juxtapose that against the dude who's checking you in. Like some of the people that were checking you into downtown Disney are,
oh yeah, like at the security checkpoints.
yeah, super random. It's like
Mhm.
50-50, like super nice. And some of them are just like, yeah, come on
Totally.
through. Yeah. And it's like anywhere else you wouldn't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
But viewed through the Disney lens, I'm like, you're freaking blowing it, bro.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that?
Does
Does
it count? Like, are
does
they
it
employed
count
by
as
Disney?
the Disney?
Dude, if you're on Disney grounds there, you're employed by Disney.
So they're in between. So we stayed at the Grand. So it's the
Oh, okay.
threshold from
It's
the
not
Grand
from, like,
into
the
downtown.
outside of-
No.
Ah.
Yeah. It's like you're in the Disney ecosphere. And some of them are awesome.
You are, but all those shops and things are
So they still have to get
technically
trained by some form of
in
Disney.
the Disney ecosphere, but it's like
They don't get to do quite as high of a level but like they still have to go through a form of training to be in there.
yeah.
Yeah. But I would say for sure they don't have any sort of directive to do anything power.
Yeah, because I've like
I just have to be
eaten,
nice
I've
and
eaten at one of
straightforward.
like the cafes in there, and
They're
it's like,
simple.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'd say they're I've had pretty good experiences.
They're
out
above
there.
average for sure.
I think in guest service, because if you take all those places and plop them in the real world, they're just generic chain stores.
Yeah, totally.
You know, but
Straight up.
if you look at what's that little Mexican food place that's there?
They just
Like
went out of business. They just sold finally the Tortilla Joe's.
Oh, did that sell?
Yeah,
sell?
it's not sold, but they're finally 20 years and they finally closed. And now they're
Dang.
I know, I like that place.
I like that place too.
I know.
I've been there a few times, and I've always had really good service
super
there.
nice,
and
yeah.
the food's like whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good michelada, dude.
And then I went to that Naples Italian
Yeah,
style.
it's actually
pizza
pretty good.
place, sat at the bar,
The pizza's not bad at all.
had a pizza,
Yeah.
macked like half of it,
Yeah.
and the lady was just really, really friendly
Yeah.
and attentive. I had a customization on my drink, and she checked in on it. I wanted a mezcal spicy margarita, but with less agave.
Nice.
She's like, I put less agave in there for you. Let me know if you think it's too bitter. I can always add more. I was like, I've had pretty good.
It's really good service.
I've eaten at like the La Brea. It's the La Brea Bakery.
I think they're gone
is
now.
There, it
I
used
didn't
to
see
be
that.
there. And
Yeah, La Brea
That's
Bakery.
Yeah.
now Earl of Sandwich.
Yes, they're
Oh,
working on
Earl
Earl of
Sandwich.
Sandwich.
The one's right by the park.
maybe that's why they're not there anymore.
True. Yeah, dude. Shouts out, dude. La Brea. You're done, son.
I mean, it was fine, but it's just I just didn't view it in the like I didn't. There was nothing, no part of the experience
Yeah.
that like made me associate it
They-
with the kind of experience that
they
Disney
didn't
creates.
they didn't last. They put in
And-
salt and straws and soon to be cat and clouds one day.
Yeah. Dude,
When it was busy.
they really need to get rid of that Joffrey shit.
I know, dude.
It's fucking terrible.
It's
like
deep,
it's
isn't it?
seriously terrible. And I say this with all the respect in the world and knowing that this is just a really bad move, because I would actually love to have our coffee in there someday.
Yeah.
I think it would be a great fit for real,
Be
because I
super
think
fun.
we care about the same things
We very
culturally and
much do.
experience wise.
It's 1,000%.
And I'm mind blown at how terrible Joffrey's is, especially when
so very dark.
they've got the
And
but the
just
brew ratio
Brew
is so
ratios,
light.
yeah,
it's
and
just
it's like
water.
just turns like dirty water
Yeah,
properly.
It's dirty water. It's not even the roast that bugs
I
me so
know.
much. And I'm just wondering why they've got the Starbucks in both the parks and the Starbucks in downtown Disney.
Well, and Joffrey's is the specialty coffee version.
But it's like, why doesn't Starbucks just run the whole thing? Like
Yeah.
Joffrey's is wild to me.
Well, no, I think that's just the lack of understanding about what specialty is and could be. Honestly, like I think this is where you have the opportunity in the future to find a way to be that roaster that can roast the kind of dark coffee that people love and find the way to teach that shit, because that's what Joffrey's is. Joffrey's supposed to be a step up from the Starbucks.
But then you get
But
like
who- 'cause
Equator.
that's
You
why
get
it's-
Equator in there.
You only can get Equator if you go to Club 33, and nobody goes there except for the people who like that's.
Right, but it's like Equator. It's like Equator's brand is not at the right. It's like Club 33 is much more exclusive. relative to Disney than like Equator is
Maybe,
in the rest of the world.
but
right?
no, I don't think so
Mm.
because Equator
But-
is served in the French Laundry. It's served in
Yeah.
a lot of those Napa area high-end restaurants. Like
It's
they,
like revered in that
they're
way.
kind of like the go-to fancy fine dining coffee.
That's what Atelier Cren uses as well as Equator.
I'm just
I mean,
gonna,
but-
I'm just gonna sit here.
I'm not.
But they are a bigger company, if that's what you're getting at. Then
Well,
Yeah, are
I'm
you
just,
saying,
I'm
like-
just saying like why wouldn't instead of Joffrey's like why wouldn't Equator take that spot, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh,
that-
because
that-
100%.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Equator probably sits at a higher price point in general, and it's probably budget related. One, that's my guess. Then
I
Joffrey's,
don't know. I mean, you could
and
price everything.
yeah, no, I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe there's contracts too. Maybe it's
Especially
just-
with volume.
Yeah.
you
'Cause
might just
it
have
could be
contracts until X
contracts.
amount of time in general.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Disney, if you have, we got you, dog.
Well, it seems like they're doing better with their food overall.
That's a fact.
So I have a hard time believing that someone is tasting
People
the
know.
Joffreys.
Yeah.
Because even if you just taste the Joffreys and taste the Starbucks, it's like the
Yeah,
Starbucks is
Starbucks
a
is
lot
clearly better.
You know,
Quality.
So does anybody think it's really good, or is it just some sort of weird holdover?
Yeah, totally. Good
Because
question.
the food is a lot better than it has been, and
It keeps getting better.
it keeps getting better.
Yeah, which thank goodness they're listening because it used to be rough.
Yeah.
When I was younger, it was rough all around.
This is the best way to build a wholesale partnership, right? It's like make fun of the people that you really admire. Yeah, I'd love to serve coffee to you. You guys are terrible.
We're forehandedly giving them love too. Just open palm slap of love.
Hey,
Did you get the loaded Dole Whip yet?
We're
Have
all
you tried that?
We're all Disney University.
Yeah, dude. I'm
Graduates
I'm double
multiple
graduate,
times
dude. Yeah,
over.
dude. Engagement and leadership.
I didn't
twice
get the
over.
Dole Whip, but I really wanted to because we went to the Tiki Room and it was
dude,
right
the
there.
loaded Dole Whip is
And
so good.
It was just a little bonkers that day.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Yeah.
And you have to go around. If you ever get a chance for the loaded Dole Whip, it's just specifically really yummy, and it's got
There's
the
a lot of flavors in there.
what does it mean loaded? What's
loaded.
in there?
So they get you a cup, and they get you whatever flavor you decide to pick, and you got your tahini, your chamoy, your pickled like jicama and cucumber and pineapple and mango, and then dried mango too. And it's just like that may or may not sound good to somebody, but like it's like the sweet, tangy, savory.
Stick to the original. But
So fucking good.
believe in you, Jer.
Yeah,
It
no,
sounds like it sounds like the Bloody Mary of Dole Whips. Like when you get the
It's-
Bloody Mary that's
it's
got like
not-
the
it's
celery
like-
and the
just
bacon.
think
It's like the
tangy,
Long Island of
think
Dole
tangy,
Whips.
spicy, sweet.
Long
Don't
Island
think
iced
it's
tea.
not really savory at all,
I've never even had the base one, but it looks really delicious.
man. Oh, you never had a base?
No.
Classic.
Yeah, it's
Uh-uh.
good.
Probably have one at Cat and Cloud next quarter.
Hey, yo.
All right, your boy.
Things
It's gonna
coming.
be called I don't know. It's gonna be called a Meow Whip.
It's gonna be called Meow Mix.
Meow Flurry.
McFlurry. It's gonna be
You
called.
got a logo for
We
that,
just want to
right?
get really close to a cease
we
and
need
desist, you know?
We need a cloud
Cease and
themed
insist on doing more. Thank you.
cloud themed whip name.
Cloud theme whip name.
Go, yeah.
Yeah, let us
Mm,
know.
Need to play on the cloud, everybody. If you pick a name and we pick it, we'll email you a Cat and Cloud Meow Whip.
Yeah, dude.
It's gonna be,
It's
on
gonna be
fire,
so
dude.
sick, dude. We'll put it in
Gift
a nice
card for
styrofoam
Meow
with a
Whip.
lot of
Dude,
ice.
you know what's
Keep it
tripping
cold.
me out right now? It's like so much lighter outside.
Ah, summer's here.
It's
Summer's here and it's glorious.
Oh, that is weird. I'm not
Isn't it
looking that
weird?
way, but yeah, even
like
just
looking
from
out
the last
window,
couple
I'm like,
we've
how come we're
done.
not outside? Like
It's, like,
dancing in
dark.
the street.
I'm going to be. That's what I'm doing right after this. Well,
But yeah, Disneyland is a hit.
they're hired.
It's good.
If you need anything from us, just holler, okay? We're really here for you. Trust me. I love you very much.
Right.
You're my legacy. Yeah, you had a good time.
I did.
I'm excited for things to open and all the new. They got Disney Forward up and running, so that means 2 new parks or things in the next 10 years. So we're gonna have ourselves.
Dulce went to when Dulce
It was
after
Disney
SCA,
Paris,
she was in France. She went to Disney.
She was telling me in
Paris, yeah.
Honduras,
Yeah.
where we just returned from.
Yeah, how's Honduras?
It's amazing. It's
Segue.
huh?
How about-
Oh, he said
Segue.
segue.
Set your
How about
note,
that
segue. Mark the
Segue.
time.
Don't worry. 42.
6.
43. It's an important place for us, and it's a place where we have helped a lot of people, and they really care about us. They all say hi, as per usual. Damien's like, when do you think Chris is going to come back? I was
Oh
like,
my gosh, dude, I feel so
maybe-
bad
maybe
every
never,
time.
dude. Maybe never. I don't know. Could be
Oh
anytime.
man,
Well, Damien's coming here though, yeah.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be funny. He'll be.
Did you guys talk about that at all? About
We figured it out.
them?
Yeah, we figured it
about
all out, and the
him and
whole.
his wife coming.
We talked about it, at length. You'll say you can share, but we just figured out what was the hold up, and Benjamin and us, and so on and so forth. So we got to the bottom of it in the house. That was fun.
Excited for that.
Are the dates still dialed? Is it the same
No,
dates?
I don't know about that because he has to get approved for visa before we can lock it in properly. But we're gonna attempt it.
Yeah,
we'll attempt to hit those dates.
What month was it gonna be?
it'll be September.
October.
For our birthday?
Yeah, dude.
Come in, meet the producer,
29, as I'm just getting really good at Spanish.
line up out the block.
Damien
and,
popping out of
everybody
the
shake
cake.
hands.
Damien and Chana just popping out of the cake.
Popping out of it, really.
They'll love it so much.
Chavez in the box.
Yeah, dude. So good. They can throw us some freaking
Just
super
beans
delicious.
thrown
Yeah.
everywhere.
We brought one
And
of our
freaking
favorite
mangoes and-
producers here and just treated him like it was a carnival.
Yeah. It's like, made him
That's
perform
what the
for
Best
us.
Friends Club's all about.
They're doing good though. They do. I got to have granadilla. They saved me some. That was great. He's growing it on his farm at Bourbon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's growing some granadilla.
Oh, that stuff's so good.
The best.
Stuff. That was the first thing that I ate when we went to Colombia and got to wherever we were going. And I don't think I'd ever had any kind of passion fruit type thing.
No.
And they cracked it open and I was just like, what the fuck is this? It looks like aliens
Yeah.
or some weird
Yeah.
embryos. I don't know. It was like,
It was awesome.
So
they
good.
knew I liked it, so they like surprised me with it.
Oh,
That was like my
awesome.
gift.
Aw.
It was
that's
awesome.
so cool.
And then we went back up and he found a couple more that were ripe. A bunch of green ones though, up at Quetzale where the Bourbon is.
So he's taking those to market?
I don't know.
Or it's just for
I think they're
fun?
just eating them.
They're just eating them?
Maybe
Like
he'll take them to
shade-
market.
it's shade,
Yeah. It's
Not
no,
that
it's
he
a
needs-
vine.
not that he-
it's a
yeah, 'cause he
vine. It
doesn't
like
need shade
doesn't
up
do
there.
much. Yeah, it grows up the Wama tree and on the fence. I think
Grows up
yeah,
the
he just
Wama.
has it. The Wama. The pond and Wama. And it's great, dude. Had a good time. They're awesome.
What made you want to go? You weren't going to go and then you were going.
Well, I realized that the relationship. Well, I was just overwhelmed. That's why I wasn't gonna go. And it's like I mentioned it. There's only like a certain amount of time you can be away with when you're sharing childcare. But I mean, I thought about it, and there are truly. I've been there every year, and I'm the only one who's been there every year, and so that's pretty important. Mark was going, and to get the experience with me there is going to be pretty different than just Dulce, just because she doesn't have like a long-standing relationship with any of them. And anyway, all that to say, I mean, that's why it kind of feels like a responsibility. I'm just going to keep, because I need to, like, they say it, and like literally the point, it like brings you to tears, and Mark and Dulce to tears, that the things they say about like me showing up and how much it matters that I show up every single year, and how they look forward to it. And it's so gnarly to hear. I'm like, yeah, okay. So it's birthdays, Christmas, and like Cat and Cloud coming.
Yeah.
And like maybe not literally anything else.
That's incredible.
So you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
like when
it's
you think
awesome.
about it that way, it's both a huge blessing and then also like
Responsibility.
it's a pretty big responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels weighty in a way that's kind of like mixed, right? You're like, oh shit, that's a lot of weight because
Yeah.
it's somebody's whole year. But I mean, yeah, Pedro Garcia's was his
First
15
house,
days
yeah.
in his new house
Yeah.
from the hurricanes killing it. And I mean, they made us tamales, and the only time they make them is Christmas time.
That's
so it's
awesome.
like a big deal. And
That's so cool.
yeah, there's a lot going on. I mean, everybody's going through stuff. Angel's family is going to be helping a lot with the farm for a bit because he's trying to get work elsewhere. So
Yeah.
double up to help send them to school because their son's doing like electrical engineering and their daughter's 16. She's getting ready to like do it as well. So they don't have any money. So he's getting another job and the family's going to run the farm. They're super committed. They have this big old plan to like handle it. And they're all just so thankful for us. And for the Best Friends Club has been super helpful. Nellen was like, because you kind of have to walk them through the Best Friends Club a little bit because they're like, they don't quite understand it. Not all of them. Some of them don't. Like, is it included in the price? Because the price was this, but it's like another $1. How's that? And then we walk through how it worked and what we helped pay for. And then, no one's like, oh, cool, thanks. It's more for clarification. And then he's like, truly, I wouldn't have been able to afford like my fertilizer or cleaning last year. And it's like, it was really, really helpful that you all, sent back that money. I really wouldn't have been able to do it. And my coffee's tasting better. And so just things like that are very real about the project and the process. And so, I mean, Mark got his face melted in the context of you go to Kenya, you go to co-ops, right? So you don't really
yeah,
get
he
to
went to,
connect
like,
with
Kenya,
farmers.
Yeah.
You don't get to connect with, and even in the way, probably if you went somewhere like Costa Rica, like you connect with farmers, but
Costa Rica
They're
felt
not
like it
selling
was
directly
almost
to
more
us.
like mill focused.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And yeah, everything's a bit more micro mill.
Yeah.
So you go here and it's like, yeah, they have everything on site and they want to show you what's up. You hang out with them, you talk about their family, you enjoy the day together. You just are spending time together, and then they ask about their coffee cupped and tell you how much they have and how it's going and what it looks like for this year, next year, and it's just it's true partnership, and
Yeah.
it's totally different. Like we use our liaisons in the context of having to export it through San Vicente and whatnot, but really they're there just to help make sure that we're connecting and to somewhat translate if you don't speak Spanish well, and that's, so Ariel came with us to a lot of places. He's a new guy, he got a promotion. He's a good dude. He studied agronomy and botany in school, so he knows it a lot.
Yeah.
That was
Did
kind of
he go to
interesting.
the same school that like Luis Pedro and
I don't
Melanie?
know. Good
and
question.
them went to?
I should have asked. He Gabe Boscana buys his coffee. He's got a farm, so that's
Oh,
cool.
awesome.
Shout out Gabe. But yeah, it's a real deal over there in that way, and we have a big impact. There's some cool new projects going on too, and that they're working on that we could be potentially involved with in other parts of the country that they found that are really interesting. So something to talk about later, but
Makes me want to do some sort of event built around that. Just having 3 or 4 best friends club coffees on the menu at the same time and
Mhm.
doing, whether it's like a week-long celebration or something focused in the cafes, online too, but really just super espresso
Like
focused.
all the coffees in the cafe.
That'd be
were,
awesome,
like, best
actually.
friend club.
yeah.
yeah, we
and-
could do that. We could do the blend instead of the answer or whatever. We could do the answer, a dark version, and then the rest of it, like 2 brews
Yeah,
and
that'd be cool.
2
And then-
espressos.
maybe sell it as, because I think so. One of the things that happens when people do things in the cafe and they fall flat is someone throws an extra grinder up, put a little thing on the menu or a
Yeah.
shelf talker,
Up and down.
nobody's
It kinda
really
gets lost in
in the zone
Or prepared,
Yeah.
really, too.
To where it's like we could create another station or make it a thing where you even buy a ticket, like it's a little mini tasting experience where,
Mm.
because if you spent $15 or $20 on, a brewed coffee, an espresso, a milk-based drink, and then some sort of little,
Fun thing.
like, whatever it is,
Right.
it could be an amuse-bouche or something else.
With
That's,
I got some
with the
ideas.
Ice cream.
yes, exactly.
And I got some ideas.
all wrapped
Sig
up
drinky.
into
We could do a cold brew style thing.
a
with
little
some cold foam.
mini. It's like a 5 to 10 minute story time, and you're moving through 6 to 8 people at a time. And the way I feel it, it's less like the blue bottle thing where it's just this extravagant, they're spending a really long time developing these interesting brewing methods and way to present the coffee. It's more of a connection point with the people that grow the coffee and a little peek behind the curtain on
That'd be fun.
how does this work?
Call this
'Cause
the inception of an idea.
you probably get people asking just boatloads of questions.
We could, yeah, absolutely.
It'd be really engaging.
Mhm.
It's not just like, here's espresso, taste it, it's good, yeah, right?
No, totally. You can create some really awesome stuff to go with it, to tell stories and show pictures and make it a little more connective in that way.
I went on that rally, and one of the things I really like that they do is they'll have the dossier for the rally that's got their logo on it. It just looks really nice, and then you open it up and it's got the physical mapped out routes that you're going to take every day, itinerary for the day.
Nice.
And then the really cool infographics of here's the breakdowns of cars by makes, here's the breakdowns of cars by number of cylinders, like all these different things. It just looks really engaging. So it's like, oh, cool. Like that'd be really interesting because we're dealing with this relatively small area in
Right.
Honduras. So it'd be cool to see like, oh, where do these people live in relationship to each other?
Yeah.
And there's like a legend
Oh,
or a
for sure.
key for it's like different.
Well, we're
You
gonna
do it
have
for
plenty
different
of pictures of the
varietals and stuff like
yeah,
that.
and
So-
like where it sits on the mountain. Because I've always wanted to do that, like on the mountain.
And it's like as you went to the different coffee, you could go to like
Right.
where they are on the map,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, you could turn it into a board game.
like a little.
Dude, and then you can give them a
Virtual
thing, and we could
rally.
actually
Yeah.
we could pull the roast curve and like match the flavors of like what part in the roast and what happened, and start putting the like, hey, this is da da and da, and then the development percentage did this and this, and you can just guide to like, what you
What?
did, girlfriend?
That's fucking disgusting, girlfriend.
Oh, turnips in your coffee. I think that could be a fun idea. That could be really helpful and engaging, and the whole company would get into it. I think that's yeah.
I like it.
I got to taste all of the COE. So they were also everybody had to have their COE coffees turned in during the time we were there. So
Oh,
everybody
nice. Dude,
was
lots of good
delivering
coffee.
theirs like let's see, we were there Monday through Saturday. So the Tuesday and Wednesday they had to have their coffees in
They
by
just
like
drop
end of
them
day
in
Wednesday.
off at San Vicente.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but what was interesting about that is I got to taste blind. They had to, because all the producers like Arturo, Benjamin, Dolmin, and somebody I'm forgetting their name, all were trying to figure out what theirs were, what they were going to submit, because you have to
Yeah.
pick your lot,
Yeah.
right? And so we had to do a table of like all of their coffees, and it was
Oh, sick.
fucking
Fire.
awesome.
That's-
Yeah,
Yeah.
so badass. And then, yeah. Anyways, and then after that, they all like went over to a second table where we were cupping our coffees for this year, like our farmers, and they had like each one of them had like put together their lot they're gonna put together, and they were cupping them again and blind to like see which one was their favorite.
Who collects the COE coffees?
The COE people, like
Yeah,
there's
they
a whole
come.
committee. Yeah, they come to San Vicente. So San Vicente is like a collection spot.
Yeah.
and, like,
Right,
they
yeah.
come there. So like all the people, like Benjamin showed me the lady who roasts the coffee. She's been doing it for 20 years on a little Probat like 7 or something like that. And it's like she's the same one. So like
Every year, huh?
yeah, last year Pacas won, natural Pacamara won.
That's
The
right.
year before that was Benjamin.
For
But-
for the layman, can you tell me what COE is?
Cup of Excellence is what we're talking about, by the way. COE is Cup of Excellence, and it is a competition held in different countries, and basically everybody submits kind of coffee that ends up going into a blind tasting and scored, and you get to win, work your way up into an international stage, actually. So you can get through
Yeah.
it and win best of Cup of Excellence for your country, and then you can go on to try to compete at the higher level in the world as well.
What year did it start? It was like early 2000s, maybe.
Good question. We could
Yeah, I
Google
don't
that.
know.
Auction
Exactly.
system, because I think Brazil was first, right?
About to find
I don't know.
out.
I'm not super familiar with the history of the COE.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the history, but I still can find out real quick. First cup.
I know that they're headquartered in Portland, Oregon.
Oh,
Cup of Excellence program was born in 1999 at the end of a global project designed to help
99.
farmers receive more money for their higher quality coffee. Cool. It didn't say where it is.
doesn't
but
say
that's
where the first one was. Yeah, I think the cool thing about COE is in their heyday, it was kind of hard to overstate how different that
Brazil.
was.
You're
It was
correct.
Brazil, right?
Brazil, then Guatemala, then Nicaragua, then El Salvador, then Honduras, and Bolivia starting in 2004, followed by Colombia, Costa Rica, Rwanda, Burundi, Mexico, Peru, and in 2020, Ethiopia joined.
That's awesome. Yeah, because when I first heard about it, it was the early 2000s. There's probably 2 or 3 serious green buyers in the whole U.S. who are doing what you could even kind of call relationship type coffees. And most people were buying coffees spot still, like even big specialty companies. So when that was more popular, it was kind of one of the only ways for farmers to get top dollar for their
Right.
coffees that were exceptional.
And maybe like gateway to begin to like bridge the gap between like buyers and producers.
Right.
Because
Yes.
the buyers
exactly.
would be able to recognize that like, hey, these producers really know what they're doing.
Exactly. So if you were top 10 in COE auction, it's like, oh, okay, cool. That's like legit notoriety
Sure.
that you could kind of cash in
The
on.
only one you can get.
And there's some weird discoveries. So that's where at Hacienda Esmeralda,
Right.
when they were submitting coffees for, I mean, I guess this isn't COE, this was Best of Panama, but it was
Yeah,
like a
but
similar
same
auction
idea.
system.
Right.
So it's like they're submitting coffees to Best of Panama. They're just fucking blowing everybody out of the water,
Right.
and nobody knows why, and they don't know why either. And then they're looking into it. They're like, "Oh, this is a completely different variety of coffee.
different
Like
thing.
this is this
Yeah.
thing called geisha that is like
Turns out it's
people
really
talk about it,
interesting.
and nobody knows where it is. It's like supposedly from Ethiopia somewhere, and it's randomly in Boquete, and you
And
didn't
there's a
even know
ton
you
of it.
had it.
Yeah.
It's
It's like
wild.
that's kind of a cool discovery that never would have happened without lot separation,
Sure.
putting it into this auction format where people are
Yeah.
scoring it and being like, "What the fuck? Like
Yeah.
that's crazy."
Then Panama's all, you know what? We're not joining the COE. We're going to do our own.
I got this shit
We
together,
got-
bro.
Yeah, exactly. We win anyway.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, dude. We do our own thing here.
Yeah,
dude.
that's rad.
Switzerland. Stay neutral player.
Dude, that's so cool. So
Yeah.
you cupped
So I got
whatever.
to taste all the coffees.
Can
It
you
was
say
very
which one they
interesting.
picked, or which
Well,
one? Like
they all
Ben
picked
Hameen?
their ones. I don't know which specific lot, but
Okay.
I did blind taste the 4 from the farmers, and that was what it was. He like came over to just taste, and then just like give us which ones you like best, And I actually did like Ben Hameen's and Arturo's were my top 2 blind, and they're very different.
Do you know where they washed or natural? Or?
Yeah, his are actually Ben Hameen's are anaerobic,
Yeah,
but
anaerobic.
that's like I said in these other things, you can do anaerobic coffees that are clean, and you would not be able to tell. Like they are not. There's not a presence of process in that. It's just it's like that Las Lajones natural you had. Like you kind of tell it was natural, but it wasn't natural.
It was
tasting.
natural, but it wasn't naturally.
There's no way you're gonna. Like if you tasted it blind, you'd say this is a special coffee. You wouldn't. We
No
probably
funk,
could
no
guess
ferment,
that there was
no-
it's like so clean. I mean, multiple of them had anaerobic processing of some capacity. Arturo's was washed. He loves washed coffee.
Yeah.
Loves washed coffee. And
Was
I
it
love
from
Arturo.
what farm of his was
That's
it
actually a
from?
good question. I didn't understand a lot of the names, honestly.
Mm.
And then they also had these different varieties and things that they were trying as well that were like just uniquely identified in how they had like the bags and situations. So,
Yeah, it's its own language.
yeah, I mean,
for
La
what they were
Salsa is one of
doing.
them, but like that's a farm, but there was other different varieties on the table that were not just geisha.
You ever bought a COE coffee?
I don't think so. I know that we've bought coffee from COE producers, but we
Right.
haven't
Benjamin.
bought. As well as others, but just like
Yeah.
not from the auction
We've never
itself.
auctioned
Not
in
those
the-
lots.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun, like when we would send, back in the day, when we would send a lot of, I don't know, frontline team members to Origin. On some of the trips, they'd participate in like Best of Cauca in
Yeah.
Colombia,
Mm.
and I think that was kind of a cool
Yeah, dude.
program.
That was a
Time.
cool. I want to bid on some coffee.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, we kind of gave them like a limit.
Like a
Yeah,
cap.
we did.
Yeah,
We did some of
yeah.
that. We got numbers. Man, that'd be fun to have now.
Do that, maybe like Bell and somebody
Think
else.
Sam?
Sam.
Levi
Yeah.
was at one, or Levi
Yeah.
was at one as
Levi,
well.
yeah, bid on.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Lucas.
Lucas,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicole.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and Sam. Nicole and Sam, Lucas and Bell.
It was usually whoever went to Colombia.
And then Levi and whoever went with Levi.
Yeah.
Somebody else. Been a minute.
Man.
We sent so many people to Origin. We're such a sick company.
There's some things about that era that I kind of really miss, and I don't think I appreciated enough when they were happening. Like, because we would send people,
You
they'd
said that
have
was like 2016 to like 2018?
probably, yeah.
Just up till the pandy.
I mean, well
The
before
pandemic
that.
I think
is
before that.
I think it was
we-
really the first couple of years
Yeah,
when
mostly.
the
That's true.
staff was really tight. But it's like, because people would go, we do interesting things like that. It's like, hey, you have a budget, you can buy whatever coffee you want at auction. But then when everybody came back, that part of going was you have to give a presentation
Yeah.
about what happened and what you learned.
Oh, Sarah Shirley. That's who went with Levi.
Yeah, Cheryl's
Wow.
went.
Good
Yeah,
memory.
with Levi.
And I remember, annoyingly, I was just really frustrated with people's presentations at the
totally.
time. I was
I
like,
know.
dude, this is not good. Like, this is not what we wanted to get out of it. But looking back on it now, I'm like, damn, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, you went to Origin and you made a little mini presentation. And it's like, who the fuck cares if it's not good? That's not really the point, you know?
Yeah, they all had such a good time.
Yeah, and I mean that was always something that I was just such a big proponent of. Is like, I feel like as a young person, if you've never been out of the country or never been to a place like that, it's like there's so much that you can like learn about yourself, and that travel and going to a place like that, I don't know, just so much that people can like discover about themselves. So I'm a really big fan of that process and that
Yeah.
idea.
So we're going to be awaiting your presentation about
Yeah.
Honduras.
I can go on for hours, guys.
Charles and I are going to
That's what's
Sit
happening
down, motherfuckers.
tomorrow night. No,
Tomorrow night, the all
Jared,
staff, everything
tomorrow
else
night-
is canceled. It's a full
I am
presentation.
going to speak tomorrow night at
we'll
the
just be like,
all-staff meeting.
and Jared has a presentation for
Get
you
an
guys.
HDMI cord that works.
Buckle up. It's going to be a 3-hour tour.
Hey everyone, that's the podcast for the week. Thanks so much for listening. If you heard something that inspired you, let us know, or tell a friend. These are the types of connections that are the most important to us and that we seek to create every day. If there's something you heard and you want to know more about, send us an email to podcast@catandcloud.com.
or head to our website, catandcloud.com/podcast, and let us know. While you're on our site, check out everything we have to offer. Dive deep into one of our single origin coffees or pick up a little treat for yourself. We have something for everyone, so check it out. Also, find us in the usual places, YouTube, Instagram. We're always there sharing amazing things. All right, that's it. Thanks everyone for being awesome. We'll be back next week.